Call the roll.
Griffin,
Here.
Bishop, Conwell, Davis,
Here.
Gray, Harsh, House Jones, Hudson, Jones, Casey, Polensik, Santana, Shaw, Slife, Starr. You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Will everyone rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all. I'll make the following statement. This meeting of Cleveland City Council is a lawful meeting. Under Section 605.04 of the Codified Ordinances, no person with purpose to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting shall do any act which obstructs or interferes with the due conduct of such meeting. Members of the public are invited to speak only under the rules set by this council. Disruptions, including but not limited to speaking out of turn or making loud noises and loud utterances, are in violation of the rules and interfere with the due conduct of this lawful meeting. Such disruptions may constitute a misdemeanor and a violation of 605.04. Anyone who disrupts this lawful meeting is in violation of the codified ordinances, commits misdemeanors, and is subject to prosecution. The following is the first and only warning. If this meeting is disrupted, I will gavel a halt to the proceedings and direct the assembled officers to escort any person participating in the disruption out of the chamber. Once persons participating in the disruption are outside of the chambers, the officers will close the doors, and the disruptors will be handled as directed by the Director of Public Safety. The council proceedings will not begin again until those that participated in the disruption have left the chamber and the chamber doors are closed. Disruptors will not be allowed back in the chamber after the meeting resumes. Again, this is the first and only warning. Madam Clerk, please dispense with the journal.
By Councilmember Davis, that the reading of the minutes of the last meeting be dispensed with, the journal approved. Seconded by Councilmember Bishop.
Thank you. We'll now move to public comment. Once again, to all the public commenters, please acknowledge your time. When you see the yellow, that means to wrap it up. When you see the red, it means to abruptly stop. I'd ask all the council members to turn around and acknowledge the speakers as they begin to speak. First and foremost, we have Daryl Houston from Bedford Heights. Topic is city issues. He's not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Mr. Houston, you have the floor.
But I don't have your staff attention, though. Ain't nobody turned around. They all got their computers out, and they all not looking at the podium. But I'm going to keep talking anyway, right? What I've witnessed down here for the last 24 months, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves, okay? I've been watching that budget, and that budget is incomplete. And I'm going to put this right hand up because this right hand, y'all also held this up and put it on that Bible and swore to hold the Constitution, right? You asked some very good questions, Mr. Casey. And I'm hoping that you hold the Constitution and the questions that you asked about the budget, send it straight to the auditor, okay? Because it's an incomplete budget. Anytime any member of this of this city cannot tell us each and every element of what their job titles are, how can you put a budget together, okay? After reading your budget for 24 hours, Mr. Mayor, you had more than enough money to keep the Browns here, buddy. And you know it. You have been a sham, and I'm looking in your face and telling you that. You have misled this community in a way that we're no longer finna accept. You or Blaine, okay? I will be doing a recall on both of y'all, on failed campaign promises and wasted taxpayer dollars. You have a long list of wasted taxpayer dollars, along with Mark Griffin, your law director, filing a bunch of frivolous motions since you guys got in office. You have done nothing but fight against coming into compliance, right? You guys wasted more tax dollars than paying the monitoring team, okay? And it's time to call you out for it. There is a recall coming. Blaine, you done been sitting up here, and you have not won an election on elected voters yet. You keep running unopposed. You was appointed to the position when you first got here. And you didn't give this panel an opportunity to chime in on what they had a constitutional right to chime in on. Mr. Richard Starr was right, okay? You are not a leader for this city. Neither one of y'all. You neither, Mayor. And you can laugh and y'all can do whatever y'all thinking. But under that Constitution that you took off to, Mark, remember, you told me I was smart in law. Well, you finna find out. You finna find out. Because I'm putting everything on paper. And I'm asking for the same DOJ that you sat and snuck and did something with. I'm asking for that same DOJ to do an audit on you and the mayor. Because you are complicit to everything that's been going on down here. You took a sworn oath. I'm gonna take a look at them licenses, man. That's what I'm finna do. Anybody that got a law license down here that's not keeping up to this Constitution, you're in jeopardy. Up under the Constitution, I know the law. I fought every court system in this state and out this state. You better ask the Supreme Court who I am, because I'm coming. And it's all written in black and white. I don't have to do anything else but put it on paper and ask these people to hold the Constitution.
Time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. See you next Monday.
Next, you have Bridget Smith Jackson. Bridget Smith Jackson is from East Cleveland. The topic that she would like to talk about is housing. She's not representing anyone, and she's not being paid by anyone. Ms. Smith Jackson, you have the floor.
Good evening, Council President and members of Council. Tonight, the children stand with me, not because they should have to, not because this is where children belong, but because their lives were directly impacted, and their presence is a reminder that this is not politics, this is personal. Some of the other families are not here tonight, not because they don't care, not because it doesn't matter, but because trauma is heavy, because exhaustion is real, because navigating displacement, medical appointments, work, childcare, and uncertainty takes a toll. Sometimes survival looks like staying home, but whether they are in the room or not, their reality remains. As we close Black History Month, we are reminded that courage has always looked like this, showing up even when you are tired, even when you are grieving, even when the system feels bigger than you. And as we approach Fair Housing Awareness Month, we must acknowledge a hard truth. The inequities we commemorate historically are still present structurally. Discriminatory housing policies did not disappear, they evolved, and families in the city are still living with the consequences. On June 23rd, those consequences turned deadly. Cordell Sheffield lost his life. 2 children were burned on only 50% of their bodies. 44 families were displaced, and months later, we still are navigating compounded trauma while systems deliberate. When accountability is raised, the question often becomes, if we hold them negligent housing providers accountable, where would the people go? But the real question is, why are families living in unsafe conditions to begin with? Emails documenting concerns date back to 2022. Copy members of this body, the mayor's administration, to building and housing, and to the health department. So this is not about what we did not know. It is about what we will do now, and that man is dead, and children are standing here. The city has enforcement authority under rental registration laws, lead safe certification requirements, and building and housing inspection codes. Housing court can compel compliance. Federally subsidized properties must meet HUD housing standards. Tenants are protected under the Fair Housing Act. The tools do exist. The question is whether they will be used and whether residents who speak up will be protected. Because too often, when tenants report unsafe conditions, what follows is retaliation, harassment, lease violation, non-renewals, evictions. Accountability must happen now. I urge this council to introduce legislation requiring public reporting of inspection histories, proactive audits of subsidized housing with repeat violations, automatic review when life safety violation presents, and explicit protections against retaliation within 12 months of a tenant report unsafe conditions. To the children standing with me, you deserve safe housing. You deserve stability. You deserve adults who will act. And to the families who could not be here tonight, your absence does not weaken their call. It strengthens our responsibility. Everyone is on notice. Everyone knows. And we can't say that we don't know anymore. And this is continuously happening. And instead of putting a Band-Aid over that one incident in your ward, how about we come together collectively and put something in place to address this as a city? Thank you.
Next, we have Ianzan Moses from Ward 5. And Ianzan Moses is to talk about the experience after the explosion and representing no one and not being paid by anyone. Ianzan, you have the floor.
Good afternoon. My name is Iajane Moses. I am writing to express my deep concern and frustration regarding the terrible experience my family and I have endured since the Rainbow Terrace explosion. As a victim of this disaster, I expected support and access to safe, stable housing. Instead, we have been faced ongoing hardship, unsafe living conditions, and significant financial strain. Since the explosion, my child has been found to have a dangerously high blood lead level of 15.0, which is extremely alarming and poses serious long-term health risks. No parent should have to worry that their housing situation is harming their child's health. In addition to this, we have been forced to live with several pest infestations, including ongoing problems with mice and roaches. These conditions are unsanitary, unsafe, and unacceptable for any family, especially one already coping with trauma from a disaster. We have been moved repeatedly, living in 3 different units since the explosion, none of which have provided stable or healthy conditions. I am now preparing to move into a 4th location, spending money I simply do not have just to try to ensure my family has safe housing. This constant displacement has taken a very toll on our physical health, mental well-being, and financial stability. As a fire and explosion victim, I should not have to struggle this hard to secure safe, clean housing for my family. We need accountability, proper inspections, and real support for displaced residents. Families like mine deserve stability, dignity, and a safe place to live while we rebuild our lives. I urge the city and responsible agencies to take immediate action to address unsafe housing conditions, pest infestations, and environmental hazards affecting displaced residents. No family should have endured what we have been through simply to have a roof over their heads. Thank you for hearing my concerns and taking this matter seriously.
Next, we have Sabrina Otis. Sabrina Otis is here to talk about the west side of Cleveland. She wants to address the rec centers for community meetings, CMSD weather shenanigans, and follow through on assistance with City of Cleveland departments. Ms. Otis is not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Ms. Otis, you have the floor.
That's what I was going to talk about. But then you guys had a press conference about the consent decree, so we're going to switch it up real quick. The one thing that you all who agreed that the DOJ and the city should get rid of the consent decree, because West Side council persons made it clear they didn't want it. And so they've been honest with their residents. Everybody else has been playing cat and mouse with the majority who voted it in. And so the one thing that has never passed is called community engagement. You can look it up. I know it because I'm always complaining when I go to these annual and biannual meetings. Community engagement doesn't pass. Do you all know what community engagement means? It means when officers encounter residents. It's when we also encounter 2 other entities that are somehow under the consent decree. We don't know how they got under there, but they are. We are not meeting the mark with community engagement because photo ops ain't community engagements, okay? Taking pictures with residents and making it look cute on Facebook is not community engagement. Community engagement is when residents show up at meetings PO'd that for 2 months no one followed up on a police report. Community engagement means when kids are waving, officers also wave back. And not all the officers are bad. We got 10% that need to go, and you got 90% that are doing their job. I believe, as a resident, we've been hoodwinked because we voted for Charter 115. We voted for it. Now, you may not like it, but it doesn't matter. It's what we voted for. And if we're getting rid of the consent decree, are we also getting rid of the police accountability team? Because they do go hand in hand. Are we getting rid of those? No, we're not. And so when you all announce it, you announce some pieces, but you didn't announce all parts that need to go. Because if one got to go, the other got to go. That's number 1. Number 2, if we're going to get rid of it, then let's work with CPC. Let's actually do what it's supposed to do. Do what it's designed to do, what we, the voters, voted for. Stop playing in our faces. Just because everyone got re-voted in, you know, look at Cleveland Heights. They got people out. We can do the same. Stop treating us like all you want is our vote, but you don't want to hear what we have to say. Nobody did any town hall meetings around the community to ask the residents of Cleveland, hey, we done did the work. We want to get rid of it. What do you think? Don't sit behind closed doors, meet with the DOJ, and then say, okay, we're going to get rid of it, because it makes people feel good. Because what made people feel good is when they voted for it and put it in place. Thank you.
Next, we have Latanya Fountain from Cleveland Garden Valley. Topic, Rainbow Terrace. Not representing anyone, not being paid by anyone. There's Latanya Fountain here. Latanya Fountain, is she here? All right, next we have Robin Green. Robin Green is from Ward 2, and Robin Green would like to talk about prioritizing community needs. She is not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Robin, you have the floor.
Hello. Good evening, members of council. My name is Robin Green. I am here today not just for myself, but for the many residents who are frustrated, tired of seeing our city neglected. Throughout the city, we are witnessing unsatisfactory conditions. For example, light poles that have been destroyed from car accidents, left lying on the sidewalks for weeks and sometimes months. After car crashes, debris is left scattered in the streets and not properly cleaned. Allowing debris to remain on the sidewalk or streets is a safety issue as well. For example, broken poles, sharp debris, broken glass create a hazard for pedestrians, children, seniors, and drivers. Residents should not have to spend ample time calling about this issue. Also, some only care about titles, not helping to improve the city of Cleveland at all. Our cleanliness, we deserve cleanliness just like the suburbs. We would like accountability. We want action. A clear timeline for removal of debris after car accidents. We want the council to prioritize the everyday conditions that directly impact residents' quality of life. Leadership is not defined by a title. The condition of our streets, our sidewalks, our neighborhoods reflect leadership. We need council members to come together to rise to the responsibility that you were elected for. We want that, we need that, and we deserve it. And I am tired.
Next, we have Tianlun Juan from Ward 11 to talk about the Chinese Party as transnational repression, and he's not representing anyone, not being paid by anyone. You have the floor, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tianlun Jian. I'm a proud American citizen, but I was born and raised in China. I stand before you today to speak out about the Chinese Communist Party's transnational repression. It's very serious. Having lived under the CCP, I have seen firsthand the suffering it inflicts. I feel it's my duty, my obligation, to warn this country before it's too late. The Chinese Communist Party is attacking America in every way except open military conflict. It is weaponizing commerce, culture, communication to weaken our country from within. Yet, far too many in our media and government are looking the other way. For the past 26 years, the CCP has waged what many describe as genocidal campaign against 100 million peaceful Falun Gong practitioners. That's nearly 1/3 of US population. They have been expelled from schools, workplaces, beaten, imprisoned, and worse, killed for their organs while they're still alive. A typical example is Chen Peimin, a real survivor whose liver and lungs were partially harvested, leaving a 14-inch scar in the chest, across his chest. Just before the second operation, he escaped, and with the help from the US State Department, made it to America. He thought he was safe, but he was not. His car tires were slashed, his brakes were tampered with, his home was broken into. Nothing was stolen. The only message was clear: silence or you will die. The same intimidation followed Falun Gong practitioners here to Ohio State University in Columbus, where car tires were slashed in broad daylight simply for displaying the words truthfulness, compassion, forbearance. Why? The CCP spends roughly $7 billion every year on global propaganda. It was reported they gain 90 to 95% of overseas Chinese language media, newspaper, television, radio, WeChat platforms. As a result, even the Chinese Americans who live decades in this country are still
Time. Thank you, sir.
fed daily narratives.
Thank you, sir. That's your time.
Yeah. America is evil.
That's your time, sir. Thank you.
Democracy.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Next, we have Simon Mastery. Simon Mastery is from St. Clair Superior. Simon is here to talk about the mayor's budget, and he is not representing anyone. He's representing Cleveland United Against War, and he's not being paid by anyone. Is Simon Mastery here? Simon Mastery? Is Simon Mastery here? Simon Mastery going once, going twice, he's gone. Next, we have Mr. Juan C. Collado Diaz from Ward 12 to talk about the city's budget. He is not representing anyone, not being paid by anyone. Is Mr. Diaz here? Mr. Juan Collado Diaz. Going once, going twice, he's not here. Last but not least, we have Terry Wong from Ward 8 to talk about tigers and flies, why corruption must be fought at every level, and not representing anyone, not being paid by anyone. You have the floor.
I'm going to talk about a different subject. My name is Terry Wong, and I'm here tonight to speak about the city's motion to terminate the federal consent decree. In 2014, the city of Cleveland entered into that agreement after the Department of Justice found that our police department had engaged in a systemic pattern of Fourth Amendment violations. The Fourth Amendment governs some of the most serious powers the government has over its citizens: the power to stop you, to seize you, and to use force. And it requires that every use of that power be objectively reasonable and legally justified. The consent decree was built on a detailed federal investigation that documented real harm to Clevelanders and identified the systems that caused it. That investigation described officers firing 137 shots at 2 unarmed black civilians, killing a black woman in mental health crisis while restraining her, shooting at people who posed no immediate harm, and using tasers and physical force on individuals who were already subdued. This was not randomness, a few bad apples. It was a systemic pattern. And the DOJ named the cause clearly, and I quote, "The pattern or practice of excessive force is caused by systemic deficiencies in policies, training, supervision, and accountability systems." The Community Police Commission was created as part of the solution. In 2021, Cleveland voters made it part of the city charter, giving it final authority over police policy, discipline, and training. I served as the chair of police accountability for that commission, and I can tell you from direct experience that Cleveland's police discipline systems are not able to ensure constitutional policing. Due to political interference, neither the commission nor the Civilian Police Review Board has ever fully enacted its police discipline powers, even though CPRB has been in existence since 1984. It's true, the Federal Monitor's recent use of force report does show some progress, but it also found unconstitutional force and deficiencies in supervision and reporting, the very failures that led to the consent decree in the first place. The consent decree exists because the city once agreed that independent oversight was necessary to protect the constitutional rights of its residents. Before that oversight ends, Clevelanders themselves must have proof that protections will remain. The promise of constitutional policing is made to the people, not granted or withdrawn at the discretion of elected leaders. I'm currently preparing a document to send to Judge Solomon Oliver. If you had experiences with the Cleveland Division of Police that you believe the court should hear, I invite you to contact me at 216-586-4117. That's 216-586-4117. Your voice matters because lasting police accountability ultimately comes from the people. Thank you.
That concludes public comment. Madam Clerk, please share communications.
File number 220-2026, oath of office for Lawrence Haley, Assistant Director, Department of Public Works. File number 221-2026, oath of office for Tazir Hamdalia, Commissioner, Code Enforcement, Department of Building and Housing. File number 222-2026, oath of office for Elizabeth Crow, Interim Innovation and Technology Officer. File number 223-2026, from Council President Blaine Griffin, recommending approval of the appointment of Councilmember Nikki Hudson, Ward 11, to the Cleveland Urban Forestry Commission. File number 224-2026, from Council President Blaine Griffin, recommending approval of the appointment of Councilmember Austin Davis, Ward 7, to West Side Market Board. File number 242-2026, oath of office for Billy Sharp, member of Civilian Police Review Board, City of Cleveland. From the Ohio Division of Liquor Control, file number 225-2026, regarding a transfer of ownership application at 3995 Lee Road, Ward 1.
Thank you. Are there any condolence resolutions?
Resolutions of condolence by Councilmember Polensek. By Councilmember Polensek for Madeline Angela Pinto D'Angelo. By Councilmember Starr for William Stud Paget. By Councilmember Slife for John F. O'Brien. By Councilmember Conwell for Booker T. Eddy. By Councilmember House Jones for Michelle Dancy. By Councilmember Casey for Michael R. Harris. By Councilmember Slife for Laura Elizabeth Lean. By all council members for the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Thank you. Are there any other condolence resolutions? I have one, Madam Clerk, if you could hold out a number for Magistrate Gregory Clifford. Magistrate Gregory Clifford.
So noted.
Councilman, the floor acknowledges Joe Jones.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that you hold a ticket out for Mr. Eugene Moulton. Thank you.
So noted.
Duly noted. Do we have any other condolence resolutions? Seeing no other condolence resolutions, will all members please rise for a moment of silence? Thank you. We have three presentations. I believe that, okay, go ahead.
Resolutions of congratulations by Councilmember Griffin for Eula Gomez Williams. By Councilmember Starr for Mount Hermon Baptist Church on their 100th anniversary. By Councilmember Griffin for Rudy's Mini Mart Limited. By Councilmember Bishop for Reverend Dr. Earl C. Simpson. By Councilmember Slife for West Park Barbershops on their 20th anniversary by Councilmember House Jones for Marcia Williams' retirement. Resolutions of recognition by Councilmember Gray for Henrietta Marshall, by Councilmember Gray for Deborah Burrell.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to presentations, and first I have, I believe Councilwoman Santana is going to do a presentation on behalf, it's going to be Councilwoman Santana for Ms. Clay, and then Ms. Pinckney is going to be Councilwoman House Jones, and then Councilman Casey has a presentation. Please open up the well for Ms. Clay if we could, one of our longtime precinct committee members in the city of Cleveland. Let's give her a round of applause. I believe she's on this side. Outstanding. Good to see you, Mother Clay. Come on, Jasmine. Jasmine. Yes. There you go. Move this chorus so nobody trips up. There we go.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm Councilwoman Jasmine Santana, representing Ward 14 on the Near West Side. I do want to thank Councilwoman Gray for entrusting me to recognize and honor you today. I do want to start, I'm going to read this resolution. While I don't know you personally, after reading this recognition, realized how inspiring you are. So really, it is an honor for me to recognize you on behalf of Councilwoman Gray and Cleveland City Council. So you hold these flowers. Okay, let me put my readers on, because you know what happens when you get older. Thank you, Joe Jones, for letting me borrow them. Okay, here we go. So on behalf of Councilwoman Deborah Gray, whereas the members of Cleveland City Council are proud and pleased to recognize Ms. Christine Clay Eskridge, yes, okay, whose extraordinary dedication and lifelong commitment to service have profoundly strengthened her community, uplifted generations of residents, and enriched Ward 3 and the city of Cleveland. Whereas born on January 1st, 1928, you just had a birthday, happy belated birthday, in Goodman, Mississippi, and moving to Cleveland at the age of 8, she was educated in the Cleveland public school system, graduated from Old Central High School in 1947, and after marrying Richard Clay in 1948, built a home and lasting legacy in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood. Whereas, inspired by her friendship with Naomi Wilcox, then ward leader of Ward 10, now Ward 3, she registered to vote in 1949 and began what would become more than 7 decades of unwavering involvement in ward leadership, civic engagement, and neighborhood organizing. While raising her 3 children, Richard Jr., Ronald, and Robin, she balanced family life with tireless grassroots work, including voter registration, campaign organizing, support of the historic Stokes brothers, and faithful service as precinct committee person for her community for decades. Whereas in addition to her civic leadership, she devoted her professional career to public service and Cuyahoga County Recorder's Office, serving under multiple recorders and retiring in 1994, exemplifying integrity, dedication, commitment to the residents of Cuyahoga County. I'm finishing now. Her compassionate heart, which this is what I got, this is the best part. Her compassionate heart and extended to her volunteerism with the Cleveland Home for Aged Colored People, later Eliza Bryant Village, where she generously gave her time and talents to fundraising efforts, community programs, and annual events, remaining active in service well into her later years before recently stepping down from her long-held leadership roles. So Cleveland City Council hereby recognizes and celebrates Ms. Christine Clay Eskridge for her remarkable lifetime of service, her steadfast leadership in Ward 3, and her enduring legacy of civic pride and community empowerment. Congratulations. And here are some flowers. Yes. I'll hold it. You want me to hold it? I'll hold it. Do you want to share something? Do you want to share some? Yes. Okay.
Here you go, Mother.
It has been a long, long journey, and I have enjoyed the service that I have rendered in all these years. I am very proud of having been a precinct committee person and on the executive committee also. So I'm very grateful for this award. Thank you so much.
You want to do another one? You want to move this? Yeah, you know, I've been over her house and everything, man. Yeah, with Yvonne, because she's executive committee person.
Okay, next we're going to bring, is Dr. Pinckney here? Do we have Dr. Betty Pinckney? Her daughter is here. We're going to make sure that we acknowledge her daughter. This is attorney, we call her Mother Pinckney, who raised a lot of us. If we could open up the door for the Pinckney family, thank you. I'm going to turn this part over to Councilwoman Stephanie House Jones. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Yes. What's your name? Yeah, what's Jacqueline? Okay. So good evening, everyone. So this is Dr. Pinckney's daughter, Jacqueline, and Councilwoman Gray really wanted to take the time to really honor some incredible women, and really for their service, right? You know, your mother has been serving in our community for literally decades and generations, and you know, I'm gonna take that time because I think people really need to know who she is, because I'm like, for real, like, you know, it's like acknowledging the community service work, but this woman is the bomb. You know what I'm saying? And again, sometimes, because all I know is like the community side of Dr. Pinckney, you know what I'm saying? But not knowing like her real service to our community and the exceptional woman that she was. So, whereas the members of Cleveland City Council are proud and pleased to recognize Betty K. Pinckney, whose extraordinary dedication of lifelong commitment to service have profoundly strengthened her community, uplifted a generation of residents, and enriched Ward 3 and the city of Cleveland. And whereas Betty was born on August 27, 1935 in Cleveland, Ohio, the seventh of 8 children to Emmett and Inez Butts, and was raised in a joyful and close-knit family that instilled in her a love for learning, the arts, and a deep appreciation for family and community. And whereas Betty demonstrated exceptional determination at an early age, graduating from Central High School at just 16 years old and earning her Bachelor of Arts in Social Work from her beloved Central State University, beginning a lifelong pursuit of academic and professional excellence. And whereas Betty continued her academic journey by earning a Master's of Education from Case Western Reserve University, a Juris Doctorate from Cleveland State University's John Marshall College of Law, and a PhD in Public Affairs from Cleveland State University Levin College of Urban Affairs, accomplishing this extraordinary achievements while devotedly serving as a wife, mother, and a full-time professional. And whereas Betty united in marriage in 1957 with her life partner and best friend Charles J. Pinckney, building a loving family that included their daughters Jacqueline and Pamela, 6 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren who remain the center of her proud legacy. And whereas Betty began her professional career as a social worker and special education teacher, and later served as an attorney for the Cleveland Public School System, where Betty played a pivotal role in overseeing the desegregation of Cleveland Public Schools under the order of Judge Frank Batista, advancing fairness and opportunity for countless students. And whereas Betty extended her leadership into civic and cultural institutions, serving on the boards of the Natural History Museum and the College of Podiatry, participating in Leadership Cleveland, and becoming the longest-serving chairperson of the Board of Directors of Central State University, which honored Betty's steadfast commitment by conferring her a PhD in education. And whereas Betty has been a lifelong member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, tirelessly supporting initiatives that promote social and political empowerment, and formed a close partnership with Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones by managing her campaigns and later serving as district director, strengthening relationships among federal leadership educational institutions, and faith communities throughout the district. And whereas Betty continued her unwavering service following Congresswoman Tubbs Jones' untimely passing by working diligently with the United States Census to ensure equitable representation and by serving as one of the longest-seated precinct committee chairpersons for Ward 4, now Ward 3, demonstrating enduring grassroots leadership and devotion to democratic engagement. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the members of Cleveland City Council recognize and celebrate Betty K. Pinckney for her remarkable lifetime of leadership, scholarship, and service for the lasting impact she has made on Ward 3 and the city of Cleveland. And this has been submitted by our Councilwoman, Deborah Gray. Congratulations and thank you. Thank you for showing the way. Thank you for your mother for showing the way that, like, you know, many times we think we can't do it all, but she is an example of absolutely you can do it all. You can excel in the boardroom, you can excel at home, and you can excel in the community. Thank her for paving the way. Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone. On behalf of my mother, I thank you for this honor. As I was leaving the house, I said to her that I was going to be coming here to accept this on her behalf. And she said, well, what do you mean? I go do it myself. So that would be a little challenging right now for her to do. So I'm happy to be here. And thank you all for this honor.
Thank you. I'm going to bring up Councilman Brian Casey, and if we can open up the well for the championship girls for John Marshall, if we could. Thank you, Councilman Casey.
It's a Cool in the Gang night. It's ladies' night, giving away presentations. The city of Cleveland, for those of you who don't know, had an absolute juggernaut in ladies basketball for the last decade. That was the John Hay Hornets until they ran into the buzzsaw this year known as the Lady Lawyers of John Marshall High School. This was John Marshall's third attempt at winning the city championship. And ladies, we couldn't be more proud of you as you took down John Hay. And you had a 17-3 record throughout the year. So congratulations on not only winning the city championship, but being winners throughout the whole year. And these girls do a lot more than just play basketball, as they've even on their own raised funds to assure themselves that they play in other tournaments throughout not only Ohio, but I understand that they went and played in the state of Florida on funds that they have raised themselves too, just for the love of the game and the passion that these girls have for basketball. John Marshall is led by Dr. Tim Primus, head coach Adam Johnson, athletic director DeAndre Brown, and assistant coach Sharita Allen. So I'll give you guys, where's coach? There's your three.
First and foremost, I just want to say thank you to everyone here. It's just amazing. You know, obviously we're being celebrated here, but for my young ladies to be able to see, you know, this meeting being taken place is the first. my first experience, their first experience. So it's bigger than basketball, and being able to expose these young ladies to an environment like this, whether, the community members are expressing how they feel, how they think, as well as seeing, the councilman members as well, here is a first. And many kids, I don't think in Northeast Ohio have this opportunity to be put in an environment like this, to be exposed to this. So I just appreciate you all having us. Thank you so much, and greatly appreciate you all. And to these young ladies that are amazing and that have bright futures, success all. And thank you so much, Councilman, for having us.
And we're going to introduce Smilin, who has a word or two to say.
Hi, everybody. Most kids like us don't get to experience stuff like this. So this is a big experience, and thank you all for having us. And this is Diari Vaughn, and she has a word.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? I'm doing good. I got to sit in here and see everybody say what they had to say. And I just wanted to say that we look up to a lot of y'all, and y'all do not know. Some of y'all do know, but we are always watching. The leaders in this room, we're always watching. We looking at y'all. We see what y'all do upon disagreements and agreements. Y'all are role models, so please continue to do that for us. And yeah, we appreciate what y'all do, and thank you.
I hope that last one does not live in my ward, because she's going places. Congratulations. And of the girls, there's only 4 graduating seniors, so hopefully girls, 3 graduating. Okay, well, so, yeah. I was told 4, but 3. There's only 3, so hopefully we'll see you guys back here 1 year from tonight for the 2nd championship in girls basketball. Congratulations, John Marshall High School.
All right, Madam Clerk. First reading emergency ordinances referred for administrative review and committee review. Please keep it down, Madam Clerk. First reading emergency ordinances referred for administrative review and committee review.
Ordinance 226, 2026, by council members House, Jones, Bishop, and Griffin, by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Parks and Recreation to cause payment to Downtown Cleveland for the Downtown Cleveland, Inc. for the cost of providing landscaping maintenance services at malls B and C in the year of 2025. Ordinance 227, 2026, by council members Bishop and Griffin, by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more standard and requirement contracts for the purchase, lease, or lease with option to purchase of various light-duty vehicles and equipment for the various divisions of city government. Ordinance 228, 2026, by council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more standard and requirement contracts for the purchase, lease, or lease with option to purchase of various heavy-duty trucks and equipment for various divisions of city government. Ordinance 229, 2026, by council members Conwell and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Health to enter into one or more contracts with Urban League of Greater Cleveland for the purpose of providing facilitation, coordination, and implementation support for the Racism as Public Health Crisis Coalition in order for the city to develop innovative solutions to address racial inequities and disparities that negatively impact public health systems, community outcomes, and overall quality of life for the Department of Public Health for a period of 1 year with a 1-year option to renew, exercisable by the Director of Public Health. Ordinance 230, 2026, by council members Slife and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing Director of Port Control to exercise the first option to renew a contract with Team Hallahan LLC to provide lobbying services to assist with legislative, regulatory, and policy issues with Cleveland Airport System. Ordinance 231, 2026, by council members Starr, Bishop, Santana, and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance determining the method of making the public improvement of designing, constructing, rehabilitating, renovating, replacing, or otherwise improving the Erie Street Cemetery and the Highland Park Cemetery Mausoleum, including site improvements and appurtenances, and authorizing the Director of Parks and Recreation and/or capital projects as appropriate to enter into one or more public improvement contracts for the making of the improvements, enter into one or more professional services and other contracts needed to implement the improvement, to apply for and accept gifts and grants, and authorizing the direct employment of the necessary labor for the Department of Parks and Recreation and/or the Office of Capital Projects. Ordinance 232, 2026, by council members Bishop, Polensek, and Santana and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance determining the method of making the public improvement of designing and constructing, rehabilitating, renovating, replacing, or otherwise improving public facilities, buildings, and other similar structures, including site improvements and appurtenances, and authorizing the Director of Public Safety, Public Works, Parks and Recreation, and/or capital projects as appropriate to enter into one or more public improvement contracts for the making of the improvement, enter into one or more professional services and other contracts needed to implement the improvement, to apply for and accept grants and gifts, and authorizing the direct employment of the necessary labor for the Department of Public Safety, Public Works, Parks and Recreation, and/or the Office of Capital Projects. Ordinance 234, 2026, by council members Bishop, Santana, and Griffin by departmental request, as an emergency ordinance determining the method of making the public improvement of designing and constructing, rehabilitating, renovating, replacing, or otherwise improving recreation facilities, ancillary recreation buildings, parks and playgrounds, and other similar structures or amenities on city-owned and city-leased park property, including site improvements and appurtenances, and authorizing the Director of Parks and Recreation, Public Works, or capital projects as appropriate to enter into one or more public improvement contracts for the making of the improvement, enter into one or more professional services and other contracts needed to implement the improvement, to apply for and accept grants and gifts, and authorizing the direct employment of necessary labor for the Department of Parks and Recreation or Public Works or the Office of Capital Projects. Ordinance 236, 2026, by council members Bishop, Santana, and Griffin by departmental request, an emergency ordinance determining the method of making a public improvement of designing, constructing, rehabilitating, renovating, replacing, or otherwise improving roadways, streets, bridges, sidewalks, and other similar projects, including improvements, site improvements, and appurtenances, and authorizing Director of Public Works and/or Capital Projects as appropriate to enter into one or more public improvement contracts for the making of the improvement, enter into one or more professional services and other contracts needed to implement the improvements, to apply for and accept grants and gifts, and authorizing the direct employment of necessary labor for the Department of Public Works and/or the Office of Capital Projects. Ordinance 237, 2026, by Council Members Casey and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Utilities to enter into one or more requirement contracts without competitive bidding with OPEX Corporation to provide proprietary hardware and software support and on-call maintenance for mail extractors, scanners, and ID Assist towers for the Division of Fiscal Control, Department of Public Utilities for a period of 2 years.
That it? Okay. First reading emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 203, 2026, by Council Members Hudson and Shaw, consenting and approving the issuance of a permit for the Cleveland 10-miler on April 25th, 2026, managed by Hermes Sports and Events. Ordinance 233, 2026, by Councilmember Davis, consenting and approving the issuance of a permit for the annual Hermes Dead Sprint event on October 31st, 2026, managed by Hermes Sports and Events. Ordinance 238, 2026, by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, approving the collective bargaining agreement with the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, Local 439, and to amend Section 17 of Ordinance 194, 2021 as amended relating to compensation for various classifications.
Thank you. Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Davis, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Bishop.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Davis, Gray, Harsh, House Jones, Hudson, Jones, Casey, Polensik, Santana, Shaw, Slife, Starr. 14 yeas.
Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Davis, Gray, Harsh, House Jones, Hudson, Jones, Casey, Polensik, Santana, Shaw, Slife, Starr. 14 yeas.
Thank you. First reading emergency resolutions referred for administrative review and committee review.
Resolution 235, 2026, by Councilmember Jones, endorsing and urging the Ohio General Assembly to enact House Bill 461 that requires all county and municipal correctional facilities and state correctional institutions to provide deaf, hard of hearing, or severely speech-impaired inmates access to teletypewriters at no cost. Resolution 239, 2026, by Councilmember Starr, opposing House Bill 661 and any legislation that prohibits middle and high school student athletes from earning lawful compensation for their name, image, or likeness, and affirming support for student athletes to pursue NIL opportunities while maintaining their educational and athletic participation. Resolution 240, 2026, by Council Members Starr, Shaw, and Griffin, supporting and urging the Ohio General Assembly to enact House Bill 543 to establish the Food Desert Elimination Grant Program and affirming the City of Cleveland's commitment to expanding access to healthy, affordable food.
Thank you. The chair would acknowledge Councilman Joseph Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise to ask that my name be added to Richard Starr's resolution 239-2026.
So noted.
Is Councilman Starr is okay with that? Councilman Bishop would like to be added to that. Anyone else? All right. Councilwoman Hudson, Nikki Hudson as well. Anyone else? All right. Duly noted. Thank you. We'll move on to first reading emergency resolutions to be adopted.
Resolution 241, 2026, by Councilmember Bishop, withdrawing objection to the transfer of ownership of a C1, C2 liquor permit at 3868 East 131st Street and repealing Resolution 1066, 2025, objecting to said permit. Resolution 243, 2026, by Councilmember Hudson, objecting to a new C1 liquor permit at 6501 Dennison Avenue. Resolution 244, 2026, by Councilmember Bishop, objecting to the transfer of ownership of a C1, C2 liquor permit at 3750 MLK Jr. Boulevard.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Davis, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Bishop.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Davis, Gray, Harsh, House Jones, Hudson, Jones, Casey, Polensek, Santana, Shaw, Slife, Star. 14 yeas.
Call the roll on adoption.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Davis, Gray, Harsh, House Jones, Hudson, Jones, Casey, Polensek, Santana, Shaw, Slife, Star. 14 yeas.
Thank you. Second reading, emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 35, 2026, as amended, by Councilmembers Santana, Bishop, Slife, and Griffin, by departmental request, giving consent of the City of Cleveland to the Director of Transportation of the State of Ohio to rehabilitate the Old Detroit Road Bridge, accepting gifts and grants, acquiring, accepting, and recording necessary rights of way, and authorizing agreements. Ordinance 36, 2026, by Councilmembers House Jones, Bishop, and Griffin, by departmental request, giving consent of the City of Cleveland to the Director of Transportation of the State of Ohio to construct multimodal transportation enhancements along East 66th Street from Chester Avenue to Superior Avenue, accepting gifts and grants, acquiring, accepting, and recording necessary rights of way, authorizing agreements, and causing payment to the state for the city's share of the improvement. Ordinance 71, 2026, by Council Members Bishop, Santana, Slife, House Jones, Starr, and Griffin, by departmental request, giving consent of the City of Cleveland to the Director of Transportation of the State of Ohio to construct the improvement to CUY Memorial Bridges Loop Project, accepting gifts and grants, acquiring, accepting, and recording necessary rights of way, authorizing agreements, and causing payment to the state for the city's share of the improvement. Ordinance 90, 2026, by Councilmembers Polensek, Bishop, Santana, and Griffin, by departmental request, giving consent of the City of Cleveland to the Director of Transportation of the State of Ohio to repair and resurface South Waterloo Road from East 140th Street to East 152nd Street, accepting gifts and grants, acquiring, accepting, and recording necessary rights of way, authorizing agreements, and causing payment to the state for the city's share of the improvement. Ordinance 91, 2026, by Councilmembers Gray, Bishop, Santana, and Griffin, by departmental request, giving consent of the City of Cleveland to the Director of Transportation of the State of Ohio to construct the improvement of resurfacing Van Aken Boulevard, accepting gifts and grants, acquiring, accepting, and recording necessary rights of way, authorizing agreements, and causing payment to the state for the city's share of the improvement. Ordinance 96, 2026, by Councilmember Starr, designating the Wellman Seaver Morgan Company Building as a Cleveland landmark. Ordinance 122, 2026, by Councilmembers Bishop, Starr, Santana, and Griffin, by departmental request, giving consent of the City of Cleveland to the Director of Transportation of the State of Ohio to construct the CUY Cleveland Downtown Connector Trail 1 project, accepting gifts and grants, acquiring, accepting, and recording necessary rights of way, authorizing an agreement with the Village of Newburgh Heights, and authorizing other agreements, and causing payment to the state for the city's share of the improvement.
Thank you. Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Davis, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Bishop.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Davis, Gray, Harsh, House Jones, Hudson, Jones, Casey, Polensek, Santana, Shaw, Slife, Starr. 14 yeas.
Thank you. Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Davis, Gray, Harsh, House Jones, Hudson, Jones, Casey, Polensek, Santana, Shaw, Slife, Starr. 14 yeas.
Thank you. Second reading, emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance 1520, 2025, by council members Spencer, Davis, and Hudson, establishing the Lorraine Antiques Design Review District north and south of Lorraine Avenue between West 83rd Street and West 61st Place.
Thank you. Read the motion to suspend the rules.
By Councilmember Davis, that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Bishop.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Davis, Gray, Harsh, House Jones, Hudson, Jones, Casey, Polensek, Santana, Shaw, Slife, Star. 14 yeas.
Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Davis, Gray, Harsh, House Jones, Hudson, Jones, Casey, Polensek, Santana, Shaw, Slife, Star. 14 yeas.
Thank you. We'll move to introductions. Do we have any introductions? Any introductions? Seeing no introductions, are there any announcements? Any announcements? Councilman Kevin Conwell.
Thank you very much. I want to thank my friend Sherry Eulery. I saw you in action today, and this is the way it's supposed to be. When people come to tell us about their issues and concerns, and you reach and you got your team together, and you're going to do that every Monday. Is that correct? And that's important when people come down and tell us that they don't have heat or water or utilities, and then we have to listen to them. They're our bosses. They're our board of directors. And you worked with my close friend, Lavelle Custard, from Murtis Taylor. And they moved, and you guys are going to move into a secret room because of confidentiality for our residents. And I appreciate that a great, great deal. That's action. That's action, and that's outcome measures. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you,
Have a
Councilman.
good day. Goodbye.
Thank you. I believe announcements, miscellaneous. Okay, so we're now moving to miscellaneous. I have Star, then Harsh, then House Jones, Polensek.
Good evening, Council President. I asked for a few more minutes. Just want to definitely just say thank you all for this last week and a day dealing with the budget. And I know sometimes when we start talking about the budget, we start going out there and trying to advocate for our neighborhoods. And sometimes me and Council President don't always see eye to eye. And it's not for me to be disrespectful or to challenge authority. Is more so the fact that I live in the neighborhood that I grew up in, and I've seen the lack of disinvestment years and decades and decades. So sometimes my passion gets a hold of me, and I want you to understand it's not you, it's a system that I'm trying to help figure out resolutions so we can do what is needed for the neighborhoods. One thing I definitely want to say thank you to my colleagues for the support with the two resolutions tonight, Resolution 239 as well as Resolution 240. 239 is opposing House Bill Senate 611, and that's a legislation to prohibit middle and high school students, athletes from earning lawful compensation for their name, image, and likeliness. Once again, downstate, they are trying to do everything to destroy what our residents and our kids get an opportunity. When you talk about them NIL deals, when you talk about the opportunity to advance their family, a lot of people are making money off our children, but when they go to school and get a chance to be able to do something, once again, they try to take that advantage from them. And then I definitely want to thank my colleague, Councilman Shaw, for working with me as well as understanding the importance of, food deserts. And House Bill 240 is in support of one of the bills that is coming before us with my state representative Terrence Upchurch, as well as Representative Josh Williams, demonstrating bipartisan recognition to access to healthy food is both a public health and an economic priority. Where we live in a city or the state where there's about 1.3 million Ohioans who live in communities classified as a food desert. So this is an opportunity for us to address an issue that's been plaguing our neighborhoods and doing a lot of different challenges in the community. But also, one of the things I definitely was paused about today is when we was at the table, I was able to look at some of the things that we're doing in our technology world for the city of Cleveland. I have yet to talk to the mayor or Chief Puente, but I definitely am going to want to talk about just the hiring and promotion process. I've got a chance to learn today that obviously within the role of technology and innovation in that whole department, we have some prominent leaders that have been with the city for over 30 years. And for me to know that Kimberly Roy Wilson been here for 30 years and she's been in management leadership for 18 years, I was surprised to see that she wasn't selected to be the chief of that department, as well as learning that Commissioner Jones been here for 15 years. So that was a surprise to me, and I definitely just want to know offline how we could talk to discuss that, because that's very important. The morale of staff and leadership, it means something. You know, stand somewhere for a long time and then get looked over or whatever, it's some things that people just want to at least know, and that's something I think is important. Obviously, I know that when we had that cyber attack, I got a calls from her team, and she was there. She was right there trying to make everything happen. And then I know other mayors and other leaders reached out to her for her expertise when dealing with that thing. But then definitely would like to talk about some of the things as I close, Council President. One of the biggest things was residents spoke tonight about the consent decree. Me, I found out around 7 o'clock that morning what was going on. I can't sit here and say as a member of Cleveland City Council that I knew what was going on, because I didn't. So I did want to make sure I tell you that I rise today in opposition to ending the police consent decree at this time. I believe that we must remember what the consent decree, why it exists, and also understand that the U.S. Department of Justice found a pattern of practice of excessive force for Cleveland Division of Police, failures of supervision, discipline, investigation, and accountability. These were the findings that were done, and that's the reason why we are in a consent decree. Not to mention the fact that there was 137 shots fired at Timothy Russell and Melissa Williams. We're not talking about the fact that 12-year-old Tamir Rice was killed. The death of Tanisha Anderson was something you spoke about during the press conference, but that's something that we championed with Councilwoman House Jones, who could definitely talk more about what needs to be done to be able to make sure we don't have these systematic breakdowns. Yes, progress has been made, but progress under federal oversight is not the same as sustainable self-enforcement and accountability. We've seen what happened when oversight ends without permanent structural safeguards. When the fire department's federal oversight ended in 2012, hiring goals for diversity remained on paper, but diversity and inclusion declined significantly over time. However, between 2010 and 2014, the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commissions later found that the city's applicant screening process again disproportionately excluded Black, Hispanics, and female candidates, constituting a systematic discrimination. The discrimination highlighted continuing disparities in fire hiring, even after decades of court supervision. And when I tell you, at the end of 2025 or during the 2025, I found out that we have 743 uniformed firefighters. What I mean by that is 97 are Black males, 63 are Hispanic males, 12 are white females, 4 are Black females, and a total of 544 are white males. Cleveland is a majority minority city, yet the department is over 73% of white male. And not even talking about the last 2 years where we've had 69 firefighters graduated class. And when you look at that breakdown, 2 white females, 1 black female, 5 Black males, 7 Hispanics, and 52 white. The consent decree ended with the fire department. Now look what has happened. They reverted back to what they were doing before they went into the consent decree. That backlash matters. It contributes to mistrust, and mistrust is one of the reasons we ended in a police consent decree in the first place. If the consent decree ends without us having these goals in place, without the residents, without making sure that we don't have excessive force, investigation will remain rigorous. That discipline will soften us. That supervision standards will be the reason why we need political pressure to support making sure we have that. And before we end the consent decree, I ask that we work with a community sign-off process. We work with the formal consultation of the Cleveland Police Commission, NAACP and advocacy groups, mental health leaders, public reporting and feedback on unresolved issues, independent post-decree audit schedule, annual audits for the next 5 years, public finance, corrective actions, independent oversight, benchmark, making sure we got things in place to make sure that we do not resort back to what was going on as it relates to excessive force. So I ask my colleagues, this is not about opposing reform, it's about protecting reform. Excellent federal oversight without stable enforcement safeguards risk undoing years of progress. If we are going to close this chapter, we must do it with structure, transparency, and community confidence, and not just simply optimism. Our responsibility is not to declare success, it is to guarantee it. Thank you.
Next, we have Christopher Harsh. Mr. Harsh has the floor.
Thank you, Council President. I want to talk about the parking meters downtown. First, I want to thank Chairman Bishop for flagging this a couple of weeks ago. I think we're going to bring it back to the table. I want to share 3 experiences that I had that happened in a funny order. The first one was about a month ago. I went downtown for a concert. I got there like 8 or 8:30, and the meters were still supposed to be on because the city had extended meter hours. So I had a handful of change, and I went to the meter to put my coins in, but the meter wasn't working. And I don't think the meter was working because it was solar powered, and it had been under 6 inches of snow for like 2 weeks, right? So the cash coin option didn't work. So I didn't pay the meter. I just went to the show, and I wanted to see if I got a ticket when I got back. I didn't get a ticket, so I just went home. But like 2 weeks later, I was dropping my kids off at school, and I saw a meter guy getting out of his car, city car, and he was giving tickets to people that were parked at the Park Mobile, non-metered spots. So I rolled down my window and I said, "Hey, officer, what happens if the person doesn't have a pay stub because the meter's broken?" He said, "Well, the judge will tell them that they had to download the app," right? And so this is kind of like getting to the heart of my concern. When we voted to approve mobile parking, I didn't think we were taking away the option to pay in cash. In fact, we actually very specifically asked if the cash option would remain, and the administration said yes, it would. But if the cash option is broken and you get ticketed for not downloading the app, then you do have to download the app. A couple things about this system: the kiosks are owned by this company named Flowbird. Flowbird is about to lose their contract with Charleston, South Carolina, because they have 300 to 400 inoperable kiosks throughout the city. They're just broken. They don't work. And I do not think that the city should compel residents to download third-party apps and volunteer our data to these companies just to park on a public street. The third incident was, like just last week, I got an email from a resident who was elderly, and he went downtown to run an errand. He had his change, but couldn't find the kiosk, and he has a flip phone. He doesn't have the ability to download an app and pay any other way, so he didn't pay for the meter, and he did get a ticket. So now this gentleman's calling me because he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have the technology to download the app. And I feel like, I was sold a false bill of goods when we approved this a year or so ago, thinking that the cash option would always exist. And that's just not the case right now. So a few other things about why this bothers me. The Park Mobile app has been compromised. In 2021, they had a data breach. 21 million users, data was stolen, including license plate numbers, email addresses, phone numbers, and mailing address. And Park Mobile also shares data with advertisers, which I think is probably just a few steps away from selling that data. They claim they don't do that, but they're allowed to. It's their data, right? By the way, your name is not discoverable based on your license plate number. And that goes back to the early 90s when the federal law was passed, because anti-abortion activists were actually using license plates to track down doctors and harassing them in their homes. So they separated those pieces of data, but now this Park Mobile will marry those two pieces of data again and make that data accessible if you want to hack into their systems. So you can argue that the app is voluntary, but it's not if you must use it to park on a public street. It's actually compulsory. And again, the city should not force residents to surrender personal data to third-party profiteers just to park on a public street. So I hope we have another long conversation about this in the next few weeks. I just wanted to share that with everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. We have Councilwoman House Jones.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I want to just kind of go through like my emotions and how I was from last week to now. So when I came into work on Thursday last week, I was coming because I needed to talk to someone. And then they was like, hey, you hear about the press conference the mayor's doing about the consent decree? And I'm like, what you talking about? I'm clueless, you know what I'm saying? Because again, I don't start my day first thing like getting emails because that can like, it'd be messing up my energy. So I got my routine. And so when I find out that this press conference is happening about, let's say 9:45, I was pissed. Like I was pissed, right? Because I'm like, what you mean? What do you mean? I was like, was I not just here until 10 o'clock the following, yesterday? Talking about the police budget and the Department of Justice budget? I said, couldn't be. Couldn't be. But it was so. And I was just like, now I know this is not a coincidence. I might have been, I was not born yesterday, and I'm a pretty astute person. And I was pissed because it dawned on me the deliberate nature it was to have the press conference not less than 15 hours later than me and for those of us who stayed until 10 o'clock the night before to talk about the police budget, the Department of Justice budget. That's why I was pissed. That's why I was pissed. Because it's just like, it went from being pissed to being frustrated. Because it's like, I understand, we didn't pick each other for this, right? It's 16 of us elected, but on any given day, if we were given the option to pick 15 other people, the majority of us wouldn't pick each other. That is very clear and evident, right? But the people of Cleveland said, this is the 16 people. This is the mayor I want, and these are the 15 council members that I want to serve this body, whether we like it or not, right? So I'm gonna go back to like my values and expectations for me to engage, because I realized right now we are not partners. It is clear to me, we aren't partners. I hope that we can get there, but that thing last Thursday demonstrated to me that we are not partners, because a partner of mine would not do me that way. It would not do me that way because, again, because the people elected us to do a job, when people call me and say, hey, do you know what's going on? What's the plan? I have no information to share with them. And that is a horrible place to be as an elected official, when people expect you to know everything and all things, especially as something as big as this, especially something that you just talked about the budget 15 hours before. That's a minimum thing. So I'm just gonna ask, just really, as we move forward, set your expectations. And maybe that's where there's misalignment, because I don't know what your expectation is of me, but my expectation of you, do not put me in that type of position anymore, where something that I know, regardless, I can't speak on nobody else, but me, this one right here, I be going to monitor team meetings, I try to engage with Cleveland Police Commission members. I'm really trying to engage here. So just to be thrown off guard when I know the biggest thing that we do is pass a budget, and I was just please don't do that. Please do not do that and put me in that position moving forward. I know we'll have more conversations, but I would be remiss if I didn't say something, because I'm just like, nah. I mean, and it really set me back. We have to do better. Cleveland deserves better. And for as many people that indicate we need to get out of this, it's costing too much money. When you look at it, and I'm saying, well, which of the 10 elements do we feel like are improper? Supervision, that's the main one, and that's the one that's like non-compliance. Like, I'm just like, we have to do better. And again, to listen to people's real concerns, even if you don't like their tone or how they're approaching it, there are some real things and concerns and experiences that people are communicating that deserve to be heard. And we need to engage our people. And especially the ones that don't come to meetings. They ain't coming to a meetings. They're not going to tell you just generally how they feel because they believe that we don't care anyway. So I'll leave it at there, but we are going to have to set some baseline expectations in this body of how we are going to engage with one another.
Thank you. I have Councilman Michael Polensek and then Councilman Joseph Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my honorable colleagues, honorable mayor, members of the administration that are here. Mr. Chairman, I rise for two things. First of all, I wanted to say to the safety director and to the chief of police and to Commander Johnny Johnson of the 5th, how appreciative I am of the service they provided to the Waterloo Arts District over the weekend on Waterloo Road for the Bright Winter event. It was a great turnout, great weather. It was cold, but it was dry. And just a magnificent turnout on the street, and there was a presence there by CPD, what I thought was very, very important, because there were people came in from all over. I mean, I ran into a guy, he walked up to me, said, "I'm from Columbus." I said, "You came all the way up here for this event?" He said, "Yeah," because he said, "I saw it on social media, and I thought it was going to be an interesting event, and I came up from Columbus." I mean, I was shocked to have that engagement with this guy on Waterloo Road. But I wanted to say that to the safety director and to Chief Todd and Commander Johnson and all the other folks involved in that process. I would hope you would take that message back. The other thing that I wanted to address as well, and I brought up at the table today, we all get a Class A event for special projects in our ward. And what I've come to the realization as the realignment of the council now down to 15, that some council members are having more than one event or major event in their ward. And we've got to figure out, we're going to have some discussion on how we're going to fund that and support those events citywide. I saw that a week ago in Councilwoman House Jones's ward at the Coravante Festival in St. Clair, which again was a tremendous turnout of people. But again, as we talked, her and I talked, that's not her prime event. And how do we support this? How do we support these events where we make sure that they're safe, they're well attended, and yet these nonprofit groups that are sponsoring these events are not financially crushed? So again, I'm saying that, Mr. Chairman, to my colleagues and to the administration as we finish. I also want to comment on Councilman Harsh's comments about the parking issue downtown. I want to say this. I understand the intent, and some of those people, my colleagues who are not here, are the ones who push for this. They wanted to somehow turn parking over in their wards on a more frequent basis. I understand the whole concept, but I don't think anyone really thought this out, how it was going to impact our neighborhoods. And especially when I go to Danny's Deli on St. Clair, which has been there forever, and they say, our people that are just coming in to pick up something. These are people, these are blue-collar people. They're wearing their uniforms, their work uniforms. They're coming in just to pick up a lunch and to run out, and they're getting tickets. And he said, my people are telling me we're not coming in if we're going to get tickets. So I think this is something we got to step back, and we just have to think this thing out better so we don't adversely affect downtown businesses and businesses on the fringe. We want people to come downtown. And I've had people say, you know what, I'm not coming down on the weekends anymore because of the issue with the tickets. They're giving out tickets like I said, like jackrabbits and heat downtown. We got to do a better job. The last thing I wanted to mention, we all know we're confronted with the closing of schools, an issue that has concerned me greatly on the northeast side. But not only the issue of schools closing, but now I'm getting mailings into my ward by the charter schools who are seeking students to join the charter schools that are on the edge of my neighborhood in Euclid and in East Cleveland. I predicted this. I told this to Dr. Warren it was going to happen, that this was what's going to take place to those of us who are on the edge communities, on the edge, bordering the suburbs. But now, the other dilemma I'm confronted with is that the after-school program that we fund, this body funds for athletics and recreation, is not going to have a home. Will not have a home. There is no athletic programs in the Collinwood Village neighborhood, and myself and Councilman Conwell now, as a result of redistricting, we're the two councilmen there. There'll be no after-school programs anywhere in the neighborhood. But not only that, but of the two new schools that are being proposed to close, relatively new schools, Euclid Park and Hannah Gibbons, between the two are 6 voting precincts. 6 voting precincts have no place to go. No place to go. So, as Ted Ginn said to me, who votes at Euclid Park, where am I supposed to vote? There'll be no school in the Euclid Avenue corridor for the first time in 100 years. No school in the St. Clair corridor for the first time in 100 years. Where are people to vote? So not only are we dealing with educational issues and where kids are supposed to go to and what we're going to do with these closed school buildings, but now it's about voter suppression. And again, as I've said publicly, and I'm going to say, I think that Dr. Morgan, he does not understand the east side of the city. I'm going to say that again. He does not understand the east side of the city, what we're confronted with. You keep closing schools in our neighborhoods, then you wonder why you have the poverty, despair, and lack of opportunity. This is on top of the 29 schools that have been closed already on the east side. So here we go with another 18, and I keep asking myself, where are kids supposed to go to school? We're supposed to provide opportunities. We hear constantly about jobs that are available, but we don't have the people to fill them because they don't have the skills. We have to have a school system that provides those opportunities. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to raise this issue. I'm going to continue to raise it because no one's talking to me about what's going to happen to the buildings, what's going to happen to historic Collinwood High School, and then where are voting supposed to go? And all of us, the 15 of us, in fact, the 16 of us, cherish the voting process. To me, it's almost religious. I've never missed a voting day since the time I could vote, and that was 21 years of age. I never missed an election. That is precious to me, and I'm not about to see folks in 6 precincts trying to figure out where they're going to vote this coming November. This coming November. They're going to have no place to vote. So again, I say this to the mayor and his team. I think someone needs to talk to Dr. Morgan and rattle his cage a little bit about the decisions that he's making that affect our east side and our east side neighborhoods. So, Mr. Chairman, I thank you for the time. I want to thank all my colleagues for the time that they have spent during the budget hearings. This is not an easy one. We got tough decisions to make, but I appreciate everyone who's been there, especially the other night till 10:10 at night. Okay, 10:15. I missed it by 5 minutes. But I appreciate everyone and the administration who was with us, who were partners with us in that discussion. That's important because we're in this thing together. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I have Councilman Joseph Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To my honorable colleagues, to the mayor of the city of Cleveland, first I want to start out by just thanking the chairman of the safety committee who presided over that meeting all the way up to 10:15 p.m. And it reminded me of the days of old when I would sit here in the council sessions and sometimes we didn't finish until 11 o'clock. And we started early in the morning time, but in those days we had a lot of legislation. We had piles and stacks of legislation. At that time, it was Bill Patman who was the finance chairman, and we would sit there and talk about how we needed to shape the city and how we can make an impact. And that is still what it's really fundamentally all about. It's about doing your job. And if that means that you have to be here a little bit longer, you shouldn't be lazy about it. Because that's the job that you got, to take care of the people. That's the job that you got elected to. And oftentimes I hear people complain about how long it takes. Well, we're in a budget hearing. It's the people's budget. It is our proposition to deliberate that budget, to make sure that the citizens of the city of Cleveland have the necessary services they deserve to have. They ought to have. And sometimes, I don't need to tell you, because many of you who've been down here long enough and have a little bit of time up under your belt, you'll know that there's some people who make it very frustrating for you. Now, as council members, we come down here to get a job done. And sometimes there are those people who get in the way of getting that job done, and it causes frustrations. And then some of our members have to try to deal with those frustrations, but unfortunately there's no, what's the term I'm looking for? A vent. Someone to help them get past the problem. Now, there are people who are down here on both the executive branch of government and the legislative branch of government who make it difficult at times. And so we have to try to do the best we can to either talk to our president of Cleveland City Council or even go to the executive branch of government and talk to the mayor of the city of Cleveland trying to get something done. So when I stand up here tonight and talk to you, I'm lobbying on behalf of my citizens. And when we talk about some of the things, talking about the press conference, I was also equally disappointed. I think Stephanie House Jones really brought it home and how she personally felt about the situation. I think that in years past, and we used to have this man named Mylon Polasek. Mylon Polasek's job was to know about the council members and to lobby the council members, as well as to put things out and see what they think about certain concepts and ideals of then Mayor Mike White. And the whole proposition was to try to see where council members at on certain subject matters and issues. He was so good at his job that he knew basically your taste that you like, in terms of if you like chocolate or vanilla. He was that on point on every single council member. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that we have to develop trust between the executive branch of government and the legislative branch of government. We're supposed to work together. And the problem why we can't work together, because we have some of them doing investigations on one another and back and forth and then releasing information to the media. Now, I'm going to be right up front. You might not like what I got to say, but I'm going to say it, whether you like it or not, because you're doing it. And at the end of the day, I'm an elected official. I want to be safe in my home. So I stand up here and I talk about safety. I talk about safety because I hear from my citizens. I talk about safety because my wife has been threatened and her job is being a judge. I have been threatened as an elected official, as being a council member in this council chambers. And I'll tell you one thing, I don't have a problem with having security take care of me if I was the mayor of the city of Cleveland or if I was the president of Cleveland City Council, because that's important. We're seeing a climate now on the national stage like I have never seen in all of my life, where elected officials are target practice. And we're seeing that. And we're seeing more of Democrats being target practice than anybody. And so some folks don't like it when you set up and tell them the truth. They get mad at you and they figure a way to try to hurt you somehow. But I ain't worried about that, because I worship a great and powerful God, and he has my back. And when I get down on my knees and I pray to God, he answers my prayer same day, next day. So I'm not worried about the threats that come to me. But I am worried about the safety of the citizens in my neighborhood. So when I stand up and I come down here to these meetings, I mean to stay here all night long. Another concern that I have is that on Saturdays we're closing down. I can't seem to get in here on Saturdays. I can't seem to be able to use my parking place and privileges. Well, I've earned that as an elected official, and I hope that my parking privileges will be reserved 24/7. And I would hope that we will open up the city so that I can be able to come down here on Saturdays, so that I can come to my office and deal with the issues of my constituents. That's what I was raised up on. Now, I don't know about all of this new stuff. I came down here last Saturday and the Saturday before and this Saturday and still couldn't get in. So I'm appealing to you, Mayor, as it relates to these hours and having some hours open so that I'll be able to come down here on Saturdays and be able to do some business inside these chambers. Then the next thing is that's important to me is code enforcement. Now, I appreciate the great job our executive director is doing in code enforcement, and I told her as much. I might not like some of the things and how slow some of the processes are, and I know that some of this is dealing with legal and the legal department, but you're doing an outstanding job, Director. I saw the reports. I appreciate the hard work, but we need more code enforcement people out in the streets. If we're going to improve the housing stock of the city of Cleveland, then we need to have our inspectors that are out there inspecting these homes. If we're going to improve the quality of life of the citizens living around some of these dilapidated properties and some of these broke down businesses, then we're going to have to push code enforcement heavily. And I want to work with you and your team to be able to do that. And I know, Mr. Chairman, that it's my understanding that Mrs. Rebecca Maurer met with you on a weekly basis concerning code enforcement, and I'd like to do the same. So as we're lobbying, talking about the budget, I want to be able to develop that relationship. And I applaud the administration and also applaud the leadership of the council president for being patient as he's dealing with this entire budget hearings. And I appreciate your deliberations and allowing for members of council to be able to have more time. And then I will say this in conclusion. A house that's not united and standing together will fall. And one of the problems that we're having right now is we're not united the way we ought to be. Many of us are disingenuous in this body. Many of us like to talk a whole lot of talk. But at the end of the day, we're not meeting the rubber where the road meets. And so I'm saying to all of my colleagues who are here, if you want to be really genuine, be genuine about it. Be who you are, whatever that being is. But I'll tell you one thing, Mayor, I'm looking to try to see changes in my neighborhood. I'm dead serious about it. I didn't run hard for public office to get here, not to get the things that I think ought to be done in our neighborhood. And then, I know I said lastly, if you would give me a second, I want to say one more thing.
Give you 8 minutes. If you could wrap up, please. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Morgan, the school board, here's another issue that's major. And I thank you, Mr. President, for giving me a little bit more here. Just give me 1 second to 30 seconds on this. We knew all the way back in the 90s that there was an issue with more building and less population. In the 90s, we knew about this, and we continue to know about it. So all I want to say is I believe that Dr. Morgan is doing a good job with what he has.
Thank you,
and some folks may not like that. But I know what the issues are because I've been involved with school board politics going way back in the 90s. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
sir.
Mr. President.
Councilman Kevin Conwell is the last person.
You know what I don't understand? I wasn't here. You know, you and I had a community meeting on Thursday night, and with the firefighters and with safety, and the chief that you have, Luke, he was a Vanguard. Remember, he was a Vanguard? And we would give these job fairs, and I would help him, and we recruited people to become firefighters. And as Luke, I need to meet with him. I don't understand, and as well as you when you were the commander, Drummond, and then I hear 97 firefighters are African Americans. We know we didn't put up for that back then. And then I hear Councilmember Starr talking about it. We were basically working and walking the streets and recruiting people. I want to meet with the fire chief, Luke, so we could try to go out and recruit, because I want to continue to help and see what can we do to bring in more African Americans. As a matter of fact, your former, the fire chief, we did a recruitment for women firefighters at Glenville High School. At Glenville High School, we did a recruitment. And this was about 6, 7 years ago, because there was only one female, Mr. Mayor, only one female firefighter that was there representing Cleveland. So I want to meet with him. I'm not going to get on this floor and just beat up and talk about stuff. I come from the school where actions speak louder than words. So I'll call you, Safety Director, tomorrow, and then we'll move forward. Thank you very much.
And just want to make sure we have a correction. The fire chief is now Wayne Nader, Chief Wayne Nader, and make sure that you talk with Director Drummond. It's a
He
new
gone
fire
now,
chief.
man.
Yeah, so if we could, let's make sure you connect with Director Drummond.
Man, I don't
Thank
know him. Where he come from?
All right, we'll get you with Director Drummond if we could.
30
All right, that concludes miscellaneous.
guys. Yeah.
That concludes miscellaneous. Madam Clerk, please excuse the absences.
That's me. By Councilmember Davis, that the absence of Councilmember Gray is hereby excused, seconded by Councilmember Bishop.
Thank you. Council is adjourned to the call of the chair upon adjournment. Please exit the chambers and continue conversations in the hallway so that police can secure the chamber doors. Thank you.